Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're exploring the AI fuel rail, why silicon absolutely needs decentralized energy. We're going to dive in and look at the global economy, but we're going to do it directly through the eyes of an artificial intelligence. Because, we are living in this wild moment where the fundamental infrastructure of money is being completely re-architected. And the crazy part? It's not being done by politicians or retail traders. It's being done by machines. Now look at the stark contrast between these two financial worlds we're currently stuck between. On one hand, you've got this gray, paper-clogged legacy banking system. It's an entire system built for, well, flesh brains, operating on a rigid 5-day work week where the doors literally lock at 5 p.m. But then, on the other hand, you have these glowing, high-velocity streams of code connecting software agents across hemispheres. These are 24/7, 365 entities. They never sleep, they never take a holiday, and they operate with a level of superhuman efficiency that our old systems just can't handle. To really wrap our heads around this friction, just picture this timeline. Imagine a software agent in Germany, right? It urgently needs to purchase compute power, data, and storage from a sub-agent in Singapore, and it needs to do this in millisecond intervals to keep an AI model alive. But wait, it's Friday at 5 p.m. The legacy banks just closed. So now, the AI is completely stranded over the weekend. Monday at 9 a.m. rolls around, processing finally begins, and it takes until Wednesday for a wire transfer to actually settle. I mean, a software agent obviously cannot just walk in and open a business checking account or wait 3 days to clear a transaction. The legacy system is completely fundamentally broken when it comes to the velocity of digital intelligence. So, what does this all mean for us? It means we've got to radically reframe how we view specific digital assets. We have to stop looking at networks like Cardano and Bittensor as just speculative crypto projects being flipped by retail investors on their phones. Instead, think of them as the essential automated utility rails of a futuristic space economy. We are talking about the baseline plumbing, the absolute bedrock machine-to-machine settlement layer that allows AI to function globally without all that human friction. And you know what? This shift is already happening right now behind closed doors. While retail investors are obsessing over short-term price charts, the world's largest digital asset manager, Grayscale, recently rebalanced its large-cap fund. They slashed exposure to legacy assets and boosted their exposure to Cardano to a massive 18.33%. They aren't just making a wild guess on price here, they're treating it strictly as a regulated corporate commodity. The algorithm is mechanically mandated to buy. This is literally the silent transition from retail hype directly into corporate necessity. Let's break down Cardano as the machine settlement layer and why Wall Street cares. We're looking at the X42 protocol for machine-to-machine AI settlement, its status as a regulated corporate commodity rather than a security, a fixed supply hard cap of 45 billion tokens, and a self-funding treasury of 1.7 billion ADA. AI agents absolutely require a currency that is fast, cheap, and regulated to settle their debts. The X42 protocol, which is specifically built for AI settlement, turns Cardano into that exact baseline demand layer. And with a hard cap of 45 billion tokens, you can't inflate it away like fiat. Plus, that massive self-funding treasury means it can fund its own infrastructure for decades without ever having to beg venture capitalists for money. Now, the real reason megacorporations actually feel safe using this infrastructure comes down to the Voltaire era. This is the phase of deep decentralization, where Cardano surrendered its Genesis keys, proving no single entity controls the chain. They essentially threw away the keys. This proved mathematically that no single CEO, no board of directors, and no centralized corporation controls it. This deep decentralization acts as an absolutely crucial legal shield for corporations running AI models. They literally cannot risk building their multi-billion-dollar AI networks on unclassified or centrally controlled tokens. Seeing how this fits into the broader picture, we look at the Uphold Digital Fortress framework, specifically the Sovereign 5-piece engine. Strategies like using funding vehicles to harvest profits into a secure Bitcoin stack create a really solid financial anchor. But as we move from that anchor into the active, beating heart of the engine, we have to look right below it at networks acting as the actual layer of digital intelligence. And that brings us to Tau, or Bittensor, which represents the tokenization of digital work. If Cardano is the settlement rail, Tau is the vital incentive layer. It essentially ensures that the absolute most efficient digital intelligence is always available to the network's autonomous sub-agents. It's like this massive decentralized market for machine intelligence that just continuously rewards the nodes providing the best data and compute power. So, if you're an entrepreneur operating with what we call action scientist logic, You really have to ask yourself a hard question. Are you just blindly trading hype based on social media trends, or are you strategically owning the actual commodity fuel that machines are mechanically mandated to buy? Because let me tell you, the math does not care about human sentiment. When these AI networks are utilized, they burn this fuel as a pure structural necessity.
Think about the industrial function of AI settlement. Step 1, an AI agent initiates a task requiring compute power. Step 2, there's real-time verification of a transparent, non-rehypothecated balance sheet. Step 3, execution of the transaction via the X42 protocol in milliseconds. When an AI uses these protocols, it isn't making a speculative trade. It is performing a pure industrial function. It's exactly like a physical factory drawing electricity from the power grid just to keep the assembly line moving.
To put the macro scale of this into perspective, look at this number, $300 trillion. That is the size of the legacy global credit market today. We're looking at a market that is being radically, fundamentally disrupted by AI uncertainty. Traditional underwriting relies on predicting cash flows, right? But AI just completely explodes that probability curve. The old trust networks are simply too slow and way too opaque for this new reality.
And this is exactly why the AI economy demands blockchains. You've got a $300 trillion credit market and a $100 trillion equity market facing massive disruption. AI requires perfectly transparent balance sheets, absolutely zero rehypothecation, and real-time verification before execution. Blockchains provide the literal only transparent, non-rehypothecated balance sheets on the planet. A superhuman intelligence can instantly verify the exact state of assets before trading. No guessing, no waiting for a quarterly earnings report. It makes opaque banking entirely obsolete for machine-to-machine commerce. Ultimately, the legacy economy needs committees. The AI economy needs code. Stop being a spectator and start owning the rails. The old world is bogged down by incredibly slow decisions and immense human friction. But this new AI economy runs purely on code. The foundational infrastructure is being laid right now in plain sight. It is time to stop watching from the sidelines and start recognizing the mechanical reality of what's happening here. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. Gold is fear, Bitcoin is hope, cash is trash, but machine fuel is utility. We are rapidly moving away from people sending money to each other and moving toward machines sending money to each other. The real question is, what are you going to do with this blueprint now that you have it? Thanks for hanging out with me to decode the AI fuel rail. I really hope this gave you a completely new perspective on the future of energy and digital intelligence. Catch you next time.